Hi, welcome to Buzz and Bark Animals. I'm Patricia, and today I'm going to be channeling Aloka again because I really feel such a strong pull to this dog. I mean, I love dogs. I feel like there's a lot of good stories about dogs, not just the story of Aloka. I mean, if you go on YouTube and look at the non-AI videos, you'll find a lot of just beautiful stories about dogs, especially. And you know, I'm a lover of all animals. I don't just work with dogs, although I seem to be really focused on them. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to do in this. I'm going to also play some flute. I'm going to do some light language, and I've got some solfeggio tuning forks that I'm going to be using. And I've got the Reiki symbols. But I think I'm going to do the light language, and then I'm going to bring in the channeling session, and then I'm going to end with the solfeggios and the flute. That depends on how long the channel session goes. And again, I'm going to put a link below for the other video that I did. It was the Reiki for 2026, and also I channeled Aloka. So this is the second channel session that I'm doing, and I also channeled Jane Goodall on my Vimeo channel. And she talked about Aloka. So if you're as obsessed with Aloka as I am, you'll also want to check that out. I'll see if I can grab the link and put it here as well. If I forget, then please forgive me. Okay, so remember to subscribe, like, and share. And thank you to the new people who are here. And help me to build this channel if you can. I know there's just a lot of noise as far as lots of videos, lots of social media. There's so much going on. But this channel has a mission, and that mission is to help humans bond more deeply with animals. And so when a story like Aloka, or even in the 1970s, there was Secretariat the racehorse, ever so often there is an animal that comes on the planet that is worldwide, right? It becomes like a worldwide situation. And that's what we have going on with Aloka right now, and also during this planetary shift and this movement of mindfulness and all these other things that are happening. It's pretty powerful. So I'm going to do some light language, and then I'm going to bring in Aloka. I have his permission. I'm talking to the spirit. He is in recovery. He had surgery on his knee. That's actually a common injury, a common surgery for dogs. It's on one of his back legs. He will heal perfectly. I think this injury I feel like this was sustained from when he was in an accident. He was hit by a car in India. I don't know how many years ago that was. And I think this is kind of a tie-over of that, and then also walking as many miles as he's walked. But he's going to be okay. He's going to be fine. I know a lot of people are concerned about that. Okay, so let me do the light language. And that's the light language that I do for dogs. So that one's specifically for Aloka, but any other animal that wants to experience that light language can. And basically it's just unconditional love and healing light coming through. Okay, so let me bring in Aloka. I'm going to put him in a big pink bubble. I'm putting myself in a pink bubble so that our energies won't mesh. And his energy field is protected, and mine is protected as well. I'm bringing in some angels for protection, the archangels for protection. And I'm grounding myself. I always forget to do that, but I'm grounding myself right now. And I'm going to be bringing in some Reiki symbols. This is the power symbol on carnelian stone. Okay. This is the emotional healing. It could also be physical healing. It's the heart. And he is all heart. Actually, this is what, as an astrologer, just observing him, I don't have a chart. I would say that he has his sun in Leo, and he's got a lot of planets in Virgo to be of service the way he is, and to be in the crowd the way he is. You know, the public eye, I really feel like he's a Leo, and the hearts are Leo. He has a heart on his forehead. And he may have some kind of earth sign for like a moon or ascendant or something. He may have like a Capricorn or I wouldn't say Taurus because I'd say either Capricorn or Virgo again. Because he's got a lot of strength. He's got a lot of resilience, which I associate with the earth signs. So this is the distance symbol. Okay, and then we end with the power symbol. I'm not sending Reiki, I'm just sending out the symbols. Okay, now I was going to bring a spray and spray the area, but I'm just going to imagine just burning sage in this whole area. Okay, I see him sneezing. Okay, so I'm bringing Aloka in. Hello, Aloka. Okay, so he was telling me that he knows several languages, several human languages, and also, of course, he speaks dog. But he knows the Thai language, the Vietnamese language, different languages from India that he heard on the streets, people, going by, and so he's had people address him in different languages, and also English in the U.S. and India as well. So he has, several languages that he's been surrounded by. And he says that he's an international symbol. He's an international dog. And his purpose, his mission is huge. Like, it is enormous. And if you can see light, I can't a little bit, but if you can see auras, you would see, he's showing me like a rainbow around him. So the color that's closest to his body is like a yellow, and then there's a green in between that, and then you've got some pinks and some sort of bluish tones, and then you've got this clear light that is on top of this rainbow. So if you were to see his aura, it would be huge, like it's expanded outward. He got his start in India, but that is not a mistake. That was connected to the original Buddha. He's not the original Buddha. I don't want you to confuse it with that. But he is telling a story. He's telling a story of... okay, so the original Buddha was not poor. He was extremely wealthy. He was a prince. And actually, he wasn't in India. He was in Nepal. And he gave up his wealth to become I can't remember what the word is, ascetic, or I can't remember the word. It's when you go with a begging bowl door to door. And so he experienced extreme poverty and humbleness, and then he had come from a very wealthy family. So he had had all the comforts in the world. He was actually married with a child at the time when he, went on that pilgrimage that eventually ended up being enlightenment. So I don't know why he's bringing that up, except it's a story that is going to become more popularized. It's going to be in movies. It's going to be more books on the topic of Buddhism and mindfulness. Well, there's a lot of mindfulness books already, but they're going to be books that anybody can understand. So if you've picked up any of the Buddhist texts, they're very confusing unless you've got somebody to explain them to you. Because it's philosophy. And so some of it is very confusing and very complex. And so the books that are going to come out are going to be books that, even if you're only educated to maybe a middle school level, you'll still be able to understand. There'll be children's books. There'll be a lot of books. And they're not he's saying it's not going to be to convert people to anything. It's just to, like if you were to pick up a philosophy book by any philosopher, Greek or French or German, any philosopher, any book that you're picking up, you're reading the book and you're opening your mind to these other ideas. And so that's what it's being presented at. It's not being presented as this is the only way, right? Because there's so many different roads that somebody can go down as a spiritual or religious person. And so it's not going to be presented as my way or the highway. And so that's going to be really refreshing to people, and it's going to take the pressure off, and they're not going to feel like anybody's trying to program them or to get them to think a certain way. And so it gives people freedom. And the mindfulness doesn't have to be attached to Buddhism. The mindfulness is just a daily practice. It's, you can meditate and be secular. You can meditate and just to, lower your blood pressure, or to, heal different ailments in the body, to get inflammation down, to get stress levels down, or to just tune into yourself and, get in touch with your physical body. So there's so many different kinds of meditations out there. And mindfulness is the meditation where you're connecting your heart to your mind, and you're looking at yourself. I didn't know he was going to be talking philosophy. You're looking at yourself from, well, he's saying he learned this from the monks. He said he learned this from the monks because he hears the same teaching day after day after day after day after day, especially on these walks that he's been on. And so he has it memorized, and see, he understands it. And I know I just lost track of what I was just saying, probably because it wasn't that important. So he's learning wisdom. He's learning wisdom, and he's teaching tenderness. So he's teaching how to open the heart in a world where the heart is closed. Not to say that every being in the world has a closed heart, but there's a lot of closed-heartedness right now. There's people who won't see somebody else's viewpoint. There's, the walls that are being built, and he's trying to build bridges. So he's getting rid of the moats, and he's putting these bridges so that people can come together rather than, and that's what the monks are doing. It's so that people come together instead of hating each other, because they don't have the same beliefs, or and the only way to awaken people is through love. You can't do it through hatred. You can't do it through judgment. You can't do it through blaming or shaming, or and even like the people with big hearts, there's just he's saying there's a lot of that going on, and he's feeling it. So when they're going to all these cities and these towns, you see a lot of, on the videos, you see a lot of the more loving people, but there's still people there that are antagonizing, and that they're trying to, or these people that go to these events go home and they go online, maybe Facebook or something like that, and they express, oh, I learned this today, and then they've got all these people bashing them. Like, what are you doing? You're getting brainwashed. You're going down this bad path. What are you doing? And they're confused because they're saying, well, I felt love and I felt peace. So like, what's wrong with that? And it feels real to them. And that's why you see people breaking down in tears. And so he says that he's seen a lot of tears. Like he has a healing ability. And so people, when they pet him or talk to him or come near him or give him a treat or whatever, he's exchanging that unconditional love. And he doesn't have, he has his one person who's his guardian, but at the same time he feels like he's an international citizen. He feels like he's here for everyone. And I think they said he's, I'm guessing his age. He says he's almost 5 years old. He's almost 5 years old. And he's showing me that because remember I said I thought he was a Leo. He's saying that he was born in the summer. So I'm seeing, he was born to a pretty big litter, it looks like. And it's kind of sad. Something happened to the mother dog. They were old enough, they were weaned and everything, but the puppies grew, as they were growing older. So maybe when he was about 4 months or so, his mother was killed. I'm seeing like a tram or a car or something actually hitting his mother. And so then after that happened, the litter just kind of split up, and they went in different directions. And he's also saying that these street dogs can go for that's why he can walk for the long lengths that he can. So they can walk from one city to another city. If they're not getting what they need in one location, they will actually walk into a city. They don't like, he's saying the dogs don't like the cities. It's loud, it's scary. There's other dogs there. It's crowded. You know, people can be really mean to them. Some people are really nice to them, but some people are just mean. They get kicked. They get things thrown at them. There's a lot of fear, and so some of the dogs can be more feral in the sense that they have they bite people and things like that. He never did that, but he's been bitten by other dogs, and he showed me this before in the first session that I did with him. Just a street scramble, like with all the dogs, and the food gets thrown on the sidewalk, because people come and feed them, and then all the dogs rush in, and then you may get some food or you may not get any. And he's not an aggressive dog, so sometimes he went hungry because he's not like forceful at all. He's very gentle, and you can't survive like that in India as a dog. You have to have some sort of ferocity to you. Unless you've got some humans looking after you on a regular basis, and then you can let your guard down. But he doesn't have a guard, a little bit, he's saying, but he doesn't really, that concept is, it's alien to him. And also, in the concept of reincarnation, this is his first life as a dog. So he's kind of confused in a dog's body. And he had actually been human in other lifetimes. He had been a monk. In more than one lifetime. And so he already knew, he's a Christian monk in one lifetime, and then in another lifetime it looks like he was sort of a Buddhist monk. Actually, it's more than 2 lifetimes, because he's also showing me that he had been in Tibet. So in his incarnations, like many of the times, he died young as a human. Like he would die in like the equivalent of 30 or 40 of years that we have now, and he was an ancient monk, so he was a long time ago. And the reason he came back as a dog is because dogs are well loved, and people are hurting. And one way to help people, and you can see like a lot of people with autism and all kinds of situations that people are going through. Some people can only open up to an animal. Sometimes it's a cat, sometimes it's a dog, but dogs are the most popular, probably the most popular pet in a lot of countries. I don't know if it's every country. And he says he's not only here for people, he's here for dogs too. Like he wants the situation in India and other countries where there's a lot of street dogs, he wants some help for those dogs. And yes, there is some help now, but he wants it to be more known, because outside of the animal rescue communities, a lot of people don't even know about what's happening to these dogs in other nations. And India is kind of more famous for its street dogs than, say, some other countries. And also because he is seen as a very beautiful dog, he's seen as a very charming dog. There, in another, either he or maybe it was Aloka, or maybe it was one of the other spirit guides, told me that there's going to be an interest in Indian dogs. But it costs something like, I think the monk said $14,000 to bring Aloka to the U.S. That's a lot of money. And that was raised through donations. That was raised through donations. So there's a lot to consider. So if you're of, maybe organizations, maybe rescue organizations will bring the dogs to the country, and then you don't have to pay those fees. It'd probably be better to go that way if you wanted an Indian dog. But they're going to become popular, and they'll never be considered a pure breed because they're such a mesh of so many different breeds, but they've become they kind of have a uniform look. So there's a street dog look or a feral dog look, and you'll see it in Africa, you'll see it in a whole bunch of different countries where all these different dogs that were pure breeds, they've all bred into each other. And so you get this kind of they're almost like hound dogs. There's some variations, but they all pretty much look uniform. In the sense that they'll come in different colors and different things like that, but there's a look when you think of Indian street dog, you can picture what they look like. And actually, if you look at the dogs that are in shelter situations in Africa, they look very similar. So they've become this hybrid dog, and because of his popularity and his look, there's going to be people that are going to want these dogs. Now, some people are going to want the dogs because they're compassionate and loving and they want to take care of a rescue dog. Other people are going to want it because it's going to be trendy. And it might even get a little bit out of hand at some point or not. But there is going to be, in maybe a year or two, or maybe even, within a year or two, there's going to be a frenzy of people getting Indian dogs. And it's going to be good for the street populations of India. But it's going to be weird. Like, it's going to be really strange. And he doesn't, so his message isn't for people to go to India and get these dogs. His message is for all dogs. It's a message for the plight of dogs and the way that humans are living on the planet, and the pain and suffering that it causes to other creatures. But he's mostly focused on the dog and having that mindfulness and that compassion. And the other thing he wants me to teach in the future, as I'm learning mindfulness, is to teach mindfulness to people who already have pets. Like, how do you be mindful with your animals? Like, how do you spend more time with them? Now, he's really fortunate because he is with people who are not on cell phones all the time. He's with people who are focused on a particular mission. And he feels very fortunate that when he is with the monks, it is completely peaceful. There is no bickering, there's no like arguing, there's none of that, because they're practicing mindfulness. Now, he's saying they're not perfect, and he's not perfect, and they're not God. Like, he doesn't want people to think of him as a God. He's not a God. He may be angelic in some ways, but he's not a God. And that can get out of hand as well, where people start worshiping him, and he doesn't want that. He says at the end of the day, he is a dog, and he's here to learn, just like we're here to learn. And he says all animals are here to learn. They can learn from other animals, or they can learn from humans. But learning from humans is a really, he says can be contentious. But he's saying it's the most profound thing an animal can do is to learn from humans, and to evolve alongside humans. And he's saying that humans are evolving, and that his timing is perfect. And there are no accidents, and everybody who does end up encountering them, where they're encountering them, it's no accident that people are feeling called toward that. Now, there may be some people that are doing it because it's on YouTube and and whatever, and it's more like a spectacle. And other people are genuinely interested. They're genuinely tired of the way that they're living their lives, and they want something new. And they've reached bottom, and they're on their knees, and they're just, saying, well, I don't know what to do anymore. And so those are the people that he's reaching, and that the monks are reaching. And then there are the other people that are just on the periphery. And, they're getting exposure to all these things, and maybe there'll be a seed that's planted, but there are some people who will never get it. And that's okay. But they are reaching enough people, and those people will reach other people. And some people are going to have life changes. And the other thing is he eventually, what's going to happen after this walk ends is he's going to become an ambassador for rescue dogs. And you will see him, I don't know if the monks are going to start a sanctuary. There's something to do with some Buddhist monks. I don't know if it'll be this group or another group. They're going to start a dog sanctuary and a cat sanctuary. And most likely it's going to be, I'm here in California. I'm also here in Hawaii. I'm seeing Washington, I'm seeing Massachusetts, I'm seeing Rhode Island, Vermont. I'm seeing some of the states where there's going to be, they're not all going to be Buddhist monks in all these different areas, but what's going to happen is there's going to be a central organization. It's going to be in California, and it's going to be led by Buddhist monks, and it's going to be an animal rescue. And then there's going to be offshoots, kind of like the Humane Society has Humane Societies in all the different states and I think provinces in Canada. So it's going to be like that, where it's going to start, there's going to be a hub in California, that's where the main thing, and that's going to be the Buddhist monks. And then the other ones are going to have the principles, but there may be Buddhists involved with it, but they're not going to be run by Buddhists. But they would have been started by this organization, so they'll have like these tenets and these rules that they follow. And they're not, okay, they're sanctuaries. Okay, so they're sanctuaries. They're not like, you don't go there and adopt a dog. They're going to be sanctuaries because the dogs had been on the streets and things like that. So they're a lot of them don't want to be in a home. Like, they don't want to be in a house. They want to be able to just kind of run on the land and things like that. So these places will be kind of in rural areas, and there'll be trees and forest, and the dogs will run around together. And yeah, you just hope that it doesn't turn into like pack mentality, because when you get some dog packs can turn against other animals and things like that. So he doesn't think that's going to happen. So he does see Buddhists getting involved with dogs and animal rescue, and also cats. So that's something that's coming up in the future to keep your eyes out for. And so I'm just going to tap into really quick, and then I'm going to end this because he's in recovery. I just want to know how he's doing as far as his rehab, and what his feelings are about being separated from the monks, because it seems like it's part of his story. It's part of what he needs to learn. He needs to learn trust, and he's also spreading love. So with the veterinarians, with all the people that have been handling him and helping him, even when he rides in the RV, which he does not like doing. He's told me that, and we all know that because we've seen the YouTube videos of him crying. Just a little bit manipulative, maybe just a little bit. Well, he's not trying to be manipulative. He's not trying to pull on our heartstrings. We just do that because it's the oxytocin, and it's those love hormones, and it's the energies in our bodies where we're connecting through our hearts. And so of course we feel tenderness, and we feel these emotions, which we project onto him and think that he feels that too. But he's saying that he's learning patience, and he's learning to trust, because as a former street dog, trust it's a two-way street, whether they can trust him. And there is like a hummingbird out there. Yeah, so there's, oh no, it's not a hummingbird. I don't know. It's a flicker. That's a good sign. So a flicker is a sign of love, and there's like a flicker right there on the roof. Yeah, he's learning how to trust, and others are learning how to trust him. And he's also seeing that humans are kind. So that's the biggest lesson, because when he was on the streets in India, he met some kind humans, and then he met some that were just brutal and frightening, he's saying. And then there were people that would drive and try to hit the dogs, which they would do it on purpose. And the dogs have to dodge, but he saw some dogs being hit and some, being killed. And again, his mother was killed by a car in India. I'm seeing that, and I don't know anything about his father, and he doesn't either. So, because dogs mate, and they don't exactly get married, they don't stay together. So it's not like a pair of crows. Okay, so I'm going to let him go now. And if he has anything else he wants to say before he leaves, he goes back to his recovery and all the other things he's doing today. And he's able to function because I'm talking to his higher self. I'm talking to his spirit. So he's out walking or doing his medical treatment or whatever he's doing. So he's doing whatever he's doing. He's not stopping in the middle of the day and listening to me. He's actually, this is all going on in his soul, his spirit. So you're not going to see him all of a sudden stop on the street and look up like, oh, who's talking to me? Although I have had that happen with some animals, because I'm an animal communicator. And I do most of my work like this. I do it remotely. Well, he's saying that there's going to be a lot more interest in animal communicators, because I just said that I'm an animal communicator. And a lot of us are going to be invited to these sanctuaries where these dogs and cats are. And he's showing me a lot of, there's already been animal communicators writing books, but there's going to be tons of books authored by animal communicators, and teaming up with trainers and, rehab experts and all of that. And there's actually going to be a lot of books on him. So there's going to be, I don't know if it'd be so much with animal communication, although there might be. They're mainly going to be, his story is going to end up in children's books, adult books. The monk is going to write a memoir at some point about his relationship with Aloka, but it might not be until Aloka's already passed. So it won't be right away. Although he will write some things, he may write some pieces that you'll see in Buddhist magazines or things like that, where he'll be talking about mindfulness and dogs and, you know, everything that he's learning from Aloka, because it's a very tender experience for him, very healing for both of them. And Aloka, actually, this was planned, right? They had a soul contract before they both came into this lifetime. And Aloka had planted seeds, you know, prior to actually meeting the monks. Oh, and he was actually loved by many monks. So when he was in India, there were some other monks that wanted to adopt him as well, but they just didn't have the means or whatever it was that they would have needed to do, and some of those monks are on the road too much. So, but there was 3 or 4 of them, especially, who had an interest in taking him, but he wasn't meant to be with any of them. But he was very much loved by that group of monks. Again, you've heard the story that they were very much impressed with the fact that when Aloka was injured, I don't know if it was after he'd been to a vet or if he even went to a vet, I can't remember, I think he did, but I don't know the story. He is showing me that he went to a vet, but I don't know if that's the vet that he's been to recently or if it was something happened in India. But anyways, they had him in a car, and he refused to stay in the car, and he wanted to walk, and he kind of healed while he was walking, from different pieces of stories. I can't validate any of that, and I don't really picking that up in the channel session. What I'm picking up in the channel session is flickers flying outside the window. That's the past. Okay, he's putting the past behind him. He's in the present. He's saying what's important now is not his past. Now, people are talking about his past because it puts things in context, but he is in the present moment. Things that happened to him in India, things that happened to him in his other earlier years, they happened, right? They happened, and he has moved on. He has no bitterness, no anger. He's just so grateful, and so he's peaceful. He's peaceful because he found what he needed, and he's well taken care of. So if there's anybody out there that's worried that, you know, having him walk like that is abusive, because I've seen comments like that, he's saying he's not being abused. This is his choice. It's his choice to be with the monks. It's his choice to walk. This is his mission, and he doesn't want anybody interfering with it. So that's why when he's in the truck or whatever, and you see him crying, it's because his mission is so big, and he wants to be out there, but sometimes it's not in his best interest. And so people have to make that decision, as, you know, anybody with a pet has to make some very hard decisions that their pets don't like. And so it's kind of the same thing there, and he will achieve his mission whether he's riding in the truck or not. So that's just the clarification on that. So I'm going to let him go, and I want to thank him. He is the light. In Sanskrit, Aloka means light. He's bringing light to the planet. He's bringing love to the planet. He's not doing it alone. He considers himself to be one of the monks. So he's not a star. He doesn't think of himself as a superstar. He doesn't think he's any better than anyone else. He is humble, and he is one of the brothers. He's on 4 legs, and he's furry, but he is one of the brothers, and he feels equal to them. And he wants everybody to give them all respect. So give the monks respect, give him respect, and that's then in exchange, then they will give what they have, which is of their heart. So I'm going to end with that. So I did say, okay, I'm thanking him, setting him off in his pink bubble. I'm ending my pink bubble, and I'm grounding myself. I'm thanking all the guides that are here. And then I'm going to end with some solfeggios. And I think I was going to do 9, but I think I'm just going to do 7 of them. Let's start with this one. This is 396. That's the note. Ut. Okay. 417. These are all very healing. 528, the miracle tuning fork. Miracles and transformation. This is the one of the heart, 639, heart, relationships. $741, this is environment, cleaning toxins out of the environment. And these are all like, they're a scale, and they all have notes attached to them. So when you do each fork, it goes up, I think a whole note, I think. At least that's how it feels. This is one of the crown or the God forks. So even if you don't hear it, I intend that you receive the energy from these forks. And this is the highest level God, divine. It's also really small. Just going to end it. Let's do some affinity symbols. Okay, so now I'm going to do some flute, and then we're going to end. But remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. And I'll leave the links below for the Jane Goodall and also the Aloka one. You'll see the thumbnail on the video, and you can click on that. Oops. I can't see my fingers, so sometimes they slip. So thank you for being here. Have a wonderful week, bonding with you and your pet. Remember to be mindful. Practice mindfulness every day, the best that you can. I'm only learning it now. I mean, I can be very ADD myself, you know, try to multitask and all the rest of that, and I find that it usually ends up being a lot of mistakes. And we all need to slow down, to breathe, You remember to take some deep breaths. Even if you stop during the day, take some 5 deep breaths and then go back to whatever you were doing, and you will feel so much more energized. And to make sure you stay hydrated, you and your pets, and remember to tell your pets how much you love them, because it's really important to do that, and also the people in your life. So have a wonderful week with you and your pet bonding. Bye for now. Namaste.